Hey Meta, what's the weather outside?
In Phoenix, Arizona, it's currently partly cloudy and 61 degrees Fahrenheit.
Hey Meta. Oh.
Hello? I am still here.
On September 2023, EssilorLuxottica, in collaboration with Facebook, now named Meta, released a new pair of glasses with the name Ray-Ban Metas. Now, it wasn't their first set of smart glasses. They had released something called the Ray-Ban Stories back in 2021. But with the new implementation of AI and Meta AI, they started to evolve the glasses a little bit more. It was around the time that the Ray-Ban Stories had come out. Facebook was going through a pretty major leak and some security concerns, so they were playing a little bit of damage control. But around this time, they released the Stories. So adding a pair of glasses that can take pictures and has audio during these security concerns with Facebook felt like it wasn't the right move. But Ray-Bans and Meta decided to evolve a lot of that software and hardware into something a lot more special. Fast forward to September 30th, 2025, Ray-Ban Meta Gen 2s finally were released. I made the decision that I wanted to purchase the Ray-Ban Metas for a couple of reasons. The main ones were the cameras. I wanted to have something where I could record like action cam style stuff. Something where I can do like a product review, or if I'm holding something or displaying something, I can record it without having to worry about holding a camera or positioning a camera to get the right shot. The other thing that I was interested in were the speakers, to be able to listen to music, to podcasts, to audiobooks. And moving into the AI world, a lot of the assistant stuff that Ray-Ban Meta was promising with the glasses. So it's been about 2 months, and these are my thoughts with the Ray-Ban Meta's Gen 2s. So the camera on these is a 12 megapixel ultra wide. Now it states on the website that it's 720p at 120 frames per second. You have 1080p at 30 or 60 frames per second and 3K at 30 frames per second. I did run into a little bit of an issue. I was setting up some of the stuff earlier today to see if I can record some video through them, and it's only giving me two options. It's giving me the 1080p at 30 frames per second and the 3K at 30 frames per second. It says that it should have the options under the update that I just did, but they're not showing up. So I might have to do a reset and reset up the whole system again to see if they pop up. But as of right now, I'm not having those options, which is a little bit disappointing. The Gen 2s have a 12 megapixel camera with a 100-degree field of view. The picture quality is 3024 by 4032 in portrait only. The portrait only portion of it is very helpful for social media, but it's not really that helpful when it comes down to content creation in a landscape format. So it's a little bit difficult to really implement a lot of that footage into videos on like YouTube, for example, but perfect for like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Any of these formats that can leverage portrait will definitely be a good option when it comes down to these glasses. For audio, it has 2 open-ear speakers with 6 microphones. For connectivity, it has Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.3. For Wi-Fi, it's mainly used for doing updates and to connect to the phone to be able to transfer any of the data like pictures and videos. They claim that the glasses have up to 8 hours of battery life on a single charge and up to 48 including the case, which is honestly pretty solid. It is a big step up from the Gen 1s, which was about 4 hours on a single charge, and I believe 32 hours with the case. So I've been trying to record a little bit in the sun because I want to see how it looks with the transitions on the lenses. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and the important part of these glasses, which honestly the price is not too unreasonable. The Meta glasses, the Gen 2s, like these, they start at $379 and they go up to about $459 depending on what kind of lenses you're getting. I have the prescription transitions, so that obviously costs a little bit more. They do have the Skylers, I believe is the other model, which are a little bit more narrower, more feminine, if you will. And then you have something that's a lot more expensive, which are the Oakley Vanguards. And that's more for like sports and cycling and just stuff like that. So if you're looking for something like this, that's kind of the starting point when it comes down to the price. And then if you're going for prescription, like I did, then you're gonna add in that cost on top of that. With my prescription, I ended up using my insurance. I ended up paying out of pocket It came out to $200 and something, I don't remember right off the top of my head, which honestly is on par with what the cost of the glasses, regular glasses, can be. So you're adding technology on top of that. There is one more model that I forgot to mention, which is the headliner, which is also the same price as the other ones that I mentioned. Honestly, it's nice to have that many models, just so you have different options for different people. In my case, I went with the Wayfarers large because I have a huge head. And they fit really well. Now, it does take some time to get used to the weight and the size and the way that they fit, but overall, I think they're pretty comfortable. And then we start getting into the stuff where people get a little bit concerned. AI. In the case of Meta AI, it has some really nice functionality. The only problem is that it does have limitations. For example, Live AI, it's a pretty intuitive system to a point. I did run into some limitations when it came down to how I was using it and what I was asking it to do. There is some roadblocks that you have to overcome, although not as bad as other assistants in the past where you had to be really careful with the way that you worded things. There was some times where you did have to readjust what you were saying just to get a better answer, which it kind of defeats the purpose because you want to be able to ask the questions in a very conversational way. And for the most part, it can work with simple tasks and simple questions. But when you start getting a little bit too detailed and a little too intense, then it starts to lose what it's trying to find and starts reverting back to the original question. Overall, I think it did a really good job of trying to answer as much as it could. On the voice commands portion, it gets a little bit tricky just because it doesn't have access to a lot of stuff on your phone, which is probably a good thing because I'm a little bit nervous about giving Meta more access to my phone. But some of the stuff that it can do is pretty solid. Now, a lot of the commands can happen directly on the glasses. So if you're controlling music, volume, taking a picture, taking a video, asking questions through Meta, it works really well. But when it comes down to controlling stuff on your phone, that's a little bit of a different story. It's not quite there. And I don't know how close it's going to get in further iterations. It's getting a lot closer than a lot of assistants have been in the past, but it still has those major limitations. When you're talking to the glasses and talking to what they can do, it works really well. And the things that I want to point out where the glasses were really successful, it came down to music, telling to play, pause, raising the volume, lowering the volume. When I was asking it like what time it was, what's the weather outside, simple tasks like that, it did really well. And I was using it honestly regularly. But when it starts getting into the live translation portion of it, I was only able to test it out a little bit. And it's limited, not in the functionality, but what languages it can use. The languages that it's limited to is English, Spanish, French, Italian, German, and Portuguese. Hopefully in the future, they'll add more languages for people that are traveling abroad and need something like a full translation system that they can use with multiple countries. Now on the physical side of things, they have a button on the right side and a touchpad on the right side as well. When it comes down to using those on a regular basis, the touchpad has become so intuitive that if I'm listening to music on my headphones or in the car and I go to turn down the music or pause it, I instinctively go to tap the side of the glasses hoping to pause or swipe back or forwards to lower and raise the volume. Which is pretty funny because I've caught myself listening to music on my headphones, being out and about, and somebody starts to talk to me and I go to pause the music and I go to touch the pad and nothing happens and I touch it again, realizing that I'm listening to it on my headphones. The button, on the other hand, you have for taking pictures and recording. And if you do a single press, you can take a picture, and if you do a long press, it'll start recording video. That part is honestly pretty intuitive. And I've had a couple of times where I've taken pictures by accident, but I haven't taken video by accident because it is a longer press. At the beginning, when I started wearing them, I noticed that I would click on it on a regular basis and I would hear the flash. There was a couple times where it happened when I was talking to somebody and they saw the LED on the side of the lenses flashed, indicating that it took a picture. Which that actually segues perfectly into the recording and the pictures when it comes down to how it's notifying people that it's happening. I did already go over some of the specs when it came down to the camera, but the other part of it that I wanted to bring up was the LED that you have on the right side of the lenses. Now, the camera takes it from the left. The right side, it has something that looks exactly like a lens, but what it is that it's a notification light of sorts. For example, if I go to take a picture and I go to press the button, there's a little tiny notification letting you know that there was a picture taken. If you're taking video, on the other hand, it actually does a strobing light. And I'll add this video on there just so you can see, and you can actually see my battery life starting to drain right there. Hopefully you can. But the whole time that I'm recording, you'll see that strobe happening on the right side of the glasses. The other thing that's cool about these glasses is that there's a notification light on the inside edge that can only be seen by you. But what it normally does is when you turn on the glasses, it'll give you a notification that they're being turned on and that they're ready to go. The other thing is when you take a picture or video, it'll have the same light sequence as the outside, notifying that something is happening. The cool thing about these is you can actually customize it. So you can have different notifications that come through. The other thing that you can do is you can turn the brightness up and down so it's not distracting, almost like a miniature heads-up display. The glasses have been very interesting and really nice piece of tech. And over the last couple of months, little by little, I've been turning off certain features that I haven't been using. One of the features that I started turning off was the always listening. Partially because I'm a little bit concerned of Meta listening to everything that I'm doing all day, every day. And the other reason was battery life. The other thing that I've been using less and less is the Meta AI and the Assistant. The cameras are being used sporadically, and like I said before, sometimes accidentally. So I started getting a little bit concerned that I was starting to lose interest. There is one thing that made this purchase 100% worth it, and it was audiobooks. These glasses have been a game changer when it comes down to getting through a large amount of audiobooks. They're easily accessible, you can still be aware of your surroundings and still be able to listen to your audiobooks without an issue. Podcasts as well. Honestly, music in general, just having your day-to-day soundtrack while you're doing your normal day-to-day things is pretty solid. It is not accurate sound and it's not the best sound quality. And most of the time I've been playing at 50 to 60% volume, because if you go too high it starts getting a little tinny. If you go too low you can't really hear it. But it's such a nice little balance when it comes down to what you're listening to and being aware of your surroundings that I use it a lot. And my biggest complaint isn't necessarily the features. My biggest complaint is the battery life. Now, they did claim that they increased the battery life from 4 hours to 8 hours from Gen 1 to Gen 2, which is a nice jump. But the reality of things is, with all the features on, using the AI, using the camera, listening to audio here and there, I would get about 2 to 3 hours of use, and that's not 8 hours. With features off and mainly listening to audio like audiobooks, podcasts, between 50 to 60% volume, I'm getting between 3 to 5 hours of consistent listening. And that's all my experience, and maybe I can go in and optimize certain things. And honestly, they've been awesome when it comes down to day-to-day tasks. 3 to 5 hours in audiobooks a day is pretty solid, at least for me. So I've been really happy with that part of it. So am I happy with this purchase? 100%. They do have a lot of shortcomings, but like I said, I am 100% happy with these glasses. If there's features that you can find use for, I think it would be a great purchase for you too. Meta has been doing some very interesting things when it comes down to wearable tech. And one of the other things that they have is the Meta displays. I don't know if I'll be able to mess around with those and test them out and see how they feel, maybe sometime in the future. But as of right now, I'm really happy with these. So have any of you bought any of the Meta glasses, any of the models really? What features do you use and are you happy with them? Do you regret the purchase in any way, shape, or form? Or are you like me, you found the one feature that you really use on a day-to-day basis and you wouldn't want to let them go? So with that, those are my thoughts on the Meta Glasses Gen 2. If you've been enjoying my content, please subscribe and like and comment on this video. And until next time, we'll see you guys around. Peace, humans.